Let's see. Okay, now it should work. I had to put it on custom screen. Are you seeing one screen or two screens?
One.
One, okay. Okay, I think we can get started. Does it say live streaming or anything?
Yes, it says the content of this thing is being sent to a third party.
Oh, third party. Oh, okay. It doesn't show here, but I just want to make sure.
But it also says this meeting is being live streamed.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Okay.
Today you did custom
Okay.
streaming. Please go try. Okay. Yeah, I think it should be okay. All right. Om. 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 Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mavid Vishavahaihi Om Shanti 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 ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्ततामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी नमोऽस्तु ते व्यासविशालबुद्धे फुल्लारविन्दायतपत्रनेत्र येन त्वया भारततैलपूर्णः प्रज्वालितो ज्ञानमयः प्रदीपः प्रपन्नपारिजाताय स्तोत्रवेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचानूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज अहं त्वा सर्वपापेभ्यः मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः. So welcome everyone after the short break of last week when I had to cancel the session because we had a university day. So we are doing the 11th chapter. We just started this a few weeks ago. And this chapter is dealing with really the Vishwarupa Ishvara Darshanam, which is the vision of the Lord as Vishwarupam. And this is very important in how we distinguish like Rupam. For example, when we talk about Rama Rupam or Krishna Rupam, they're all the Rupa of individual forms of that Narayana, right? So here we are talking about an extraordinary experience that a devotee is going to go through, where a devotee like Arjuna gets the experience of Ishvara as a Vishwarupam, not as if, that he is in all forms, but all forms are in him. So that is the Rupam that we are discussing about, where Arjuna gets that thrilling experience. So as we discussed even last 2 weeks ago in reflections, typically we always emphasize on when we think about an experience, where in an experience you have the subject, object, and the process of experiencing, we always focus on the object of experience to give us that thrill, correct? Like, for example, if I have a our famous example of gulab jamun, we think, the gulab jamun is giving us the experience. And so we focus on the objects. But really here, we are not focusing on the object of experience, but actually the subject of the experience. And that subject of experience is the critical thing, where am I really ready for that experience? So we typically do not focus on that importance of the preparedness of the part on the subject of the experience. We always focus only on the aspect of the object of experience, right? So this is a very critical aspect of it, which, we in 11th chapter, it really takes you to where this evam etat vyatha tattvam atmanam parameshwara. We are describing Vishwarupa not as extraordinary form, but as really the bhupadav yasyanabar, Vyatasura Nila Chandra Suryo Chanetre, all those epithets. That is how we're discussing the greatness of this Ishvara. So anything to add on this one? So far on just the reflection part of it, just to explain that in the 11th chapter, it is all about really the Vishwarupa and really to understand whether I'm really ready for this experience. Because experience, the object is in front of us. We all are actually experiencing that phenomena of Vishwarupa. However, we do not know it. The question is, why are we not knowing it? Why are we in the midst of the experience and yet we do not know that I'm experiencing it? Is the question.
Hari, is it possible to go back to just the previous slide once?
Yes, of course.
Preparedness on the part of the subject of experience. I think this is a very important point, and
in fact, I think I give away the answer in this part
yes,
of it, actually.
but actually, even though we see this, we know this is the answer, but we don't get it. In spite of you having shown us this a slide, the answer to your question is in this slide.
Yes, exactly.
It takes a minute before you get there. It doesn't come to us easily.
Yeah.
The importance of preparedness.
So it means us, right? It says that we are not prepared yet.
Yes.
View that Vishwarupa darshanam. We are not ready. We are not ready.
Exactly. Correct. Exactly. We are not ready, or we are not doing anything to become ready for it either. Then it brings back the question of why are we not getting ourselves ready? We all know that we have a limited, finite body. We know that we don't have much time on this earth. And if we also are convinced that the reason that I'm on this earth is only to be an instrument in the hands of the Lord, not for the sake of my own happiness, which is again the problem, correct? We all believe that I'm here to, what is that? Khao piyo maja karo, right?
Yeah.
That we are here only to enjoy the pleasures of the world. So that being the case, we are not thinking that are we ready for the higher pleasure, that higher pleasure being that ultimate happiness, which is me, myself. Are we really prepared for it? Is the question.
Subject-wise, though we understand, though we think that we have to be this way, why aren't we not doing it?
Why are we not doing it? Yes.
Or why are we not, what to say?
And what is it that I should be doing to be prepared? How can I measure this preparedness?
Exactly.
There's so many questions on this, so many questions here. Because Vishwarupa is there in front of us. we are in that Vishwarupa. In fact, the Vishwarupa is in me, still we are not able, the 11th chapter is all about that. The 11th, in the 7th shloka, which we did last time, he actually, 7th and 8th, he has already given that exposure to the whole world, yet we are not able to see it. So you can contemplate upon it. Maybe towards the end of our thing, we can actually go over that part of it. So in the first, yes, Ananta, yes, Anant.
Yeah. So like we see the universe or we see the world around us, and we fail to recognize Bhagavan in that. So the Vishwarupa, he's showing us, all the time, you know, uh, again until we see the previous chapter where the anything is the best and the highest is me. Like then we start pointing to like a Niagara Falls, or so like start put some steps, baby steps, and then yeah, and have the faith and bhakti. And that's the path to do.
True.
I think we are in the path, but how long is the path? All that we need to know.
Correct. And many times we think that, okay, like to your point of bhakti and faith, and even chanting shlokas, studying Bhagavad Gita, all this we think is preparing my mind to be able to visualize the higher. And they are, definitely they are, because uh, like even when I take the book and read at 4 a.m. in the morning when my mind is so clear, it's like, wow. Every sentence in this Bhagavad Gita, the green book, which I read to prepare for the talk and everything, I am like, every sentence is so potent, So yes, the mind, because of having fed all this knowledge, it gives you that wow factor of Vishwarupa. It gives you that. But it slips back immediately into the world also, Now that after the talk is over, which is 8 o'clock for me, I'll go into the real world and I'll get part of the thing. So that preparedness is important to have constantly, that feeling that this entire world is nothing but the Lord in his own manifestations, So very important, just something to think about. And, this will keep coming again and again. I will bring it up because ultimately that is the main question for all of us, right? To be or not to be, as Shakespeare would say, it is for us, this is the more important, is how prepared I am to see the experience.
Or without we realizing, slowly, maybe we are changing slowly.
We are. No, there is just no question about it. There is no question about the fact that there is change happening. And because of the change happening, we're able to appreciate these shlokas. Otherwise, can you imagine if you can just, in this freezing cold, somebody's walking on your street, pull him up and say, hey, come listen to Bhagavad Gita. Why are you walking? Will they come? No. So the first 3 shlokas is basically the introduction to the chapter, where we see Arjuna thanking Krishna for having given the 10th chapter for him. And because of it, just one very quick one. So sorry, I have to take this. Hariom Shrikanji. Shrikanji? Yes, Shrikanji. Yeah. Anytime. Yes, Anakur. I'll go to Anakur. Anytime is fine. 9 o'clock is okay, or anytime. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Shrikanji, I'm in a class. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I'll talk to you after 8 o'clock. Bye. Sorry about it. It's my ride to our facility, So in the first, we saw that, he's talking about how he feels blessed and he feels very lucky that he's being given this Paramam Vachaha, this great knowledge. And then in the second one, he again talks about the fact that, it is not just with compassion, but he's also, Arjuna is being exposed to everything about the world, not just what he's able to see, but what was before him, what was after him, will come after him. Everything he's given that, right? And then in shlokas 3 and 4, you will see that where he talks a little bit more about the fact that, here he says, evam etat yatha tattvam atmanam parameshvara drashtumichhami te rupam aishwaram purushottama. So he finally says, I really want to see your true personality, your true self, your true identity, your true form. This one, please tell me about this aspect of it. So here we were exposed to this beautiful shloka. So I wanted to put this because it was right. In fact, Swami Chinmayananda mentions about the shloka in the shloka 3 and 4 when you read the book. And I was reminded of this shloka which was given to us, so where Bhagwan is described as somebody who has everything, which is Aishwaryasya Samagrasya, Virasya Yashaha Shriyaha, Jnana Vairagya Chaiva, Stanam Bhaga iti uchyate or iti gana. Here it says I think we learned it as iti uchyate. That is that Ishvara or that Bhagwan's personality is the 6 things. He's full of prosperity, full of Aishwarya. He's full of, strength, Veera, and then Yashaha, fame, then Shriyaha, beauty, knowledge, jnana, vairagya, renunciation, and of all this, that is what he's called, so that is the 6 great qualities of that Supreme Lord. So, Arjuna is referring to all this, when he says this Aishwaryam, that's what struck me to say, let me read this and see if I can put the shloka up for you. So here he talks about it, and therefore this is the thing. So he calls him Parameshwara, he calls him Purushottama. And then in the fourth one, he says, show me your imperishable form. What is that? Avyayam, which is absolutely undivided form. So far, he has seen the Lord in all the divisions. Now he wants to see him as this absolute homogeneous whole, Prajnana Ghana. That was another word that was used for us when we were studying in Sandipani. Prajnana Ghana is this huge mass of consciousness, which is Brahman. So Arjuna is asking me, show me that whole thing in your undivided form. So that is where last time we went into the Lord's Vishwarupa, shlokas 5 to 8. And you will see that, because Krishna has spent so much of time in all the other chapters, being very patient and explaining, here in this one, he just rushes into it. He says, okay, Arjuna, you've asked me now, be ready, let's move it, So in shlokas 5, Krishna already shows him that form, cosmic form. And, he explains also a little bit about it. And then what is there within that form, the cosmic tour, And so all this he shows him, but then he realizes that, Arjuna is not able to see it. Okay. Arjuna doesn't have that divine chakshu or the eye to see all this. So he bestows in him this. So that is what we saw last time. And I'll just go through this shlokas here. In 5, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, Pashya me partha rupani shatashotas has rashaha nana vidhani divyani nana varna kritinicha. So here he's saying, Pashya, he starts off with a very powerful, he says, hey, Arjuna, look, behold me, all these hundreds and thousands of all these forms, all of them, look at what great colors they have, what great shapes. So imagine somebody, so big, in whom all these universes, all the galaxies, everything is in him. So that is what he's saying. Nana vidani divyani, nana varna kritincha. All these, pashya, see, behold me. That is what he's saying in Shloka 5. And then in Shloka 6, he continues with the same kind of theme where he says, now he's talking about all the various forms which he has talked about in the 10th chapter, which is all these Adityas, the Rudras, the Ashwinis, all that he's saying. So, Pashya Adityan Vasun Rudran Ashwina Marutah Tatha Bahun Bahunya Drashta Purvani Pashya Ashcharyani Bharata. Just all these wonders, you wouldn't even have realized all this. So see all this in me. And that is that whole Vishwarupa, where I just wanted to show this one. So we saw this last time. And then he continues, he says, this whole universe is actually now centered in me, who is the moving and the unmoving in my own body. So tell me, what more do you want to see? So ihai ekastan jagat krishnam pashya adya in me sacharacharam chara and achara mama dehe hudakesha yacha anyat drashtum ichchasi. So whatever you wanted to see, you can actually see this in my body. And then in shloka number 8, he must have paused. Krishna must have just paused for a second, maybe waiting for Arjuna to say, wow, or whatever, or probably it is probably more than that. But then Arjuna doesn't say anything. And therefore, Krishna recognizes that Arjuna, being a mortal human being, needs to, just for a moment at least, have that power. So he actually gives him the power. Okay. So he says, Natumam shakyase drashtum. I understand you're not able to see me. And anena evacha chakshusha. With your own eyes, you're not able to see me. Therefore, divyam dadami, aham dadami, divyam dadami te chakshuhu. I give you this divine eye. Pashya me yoga aishwaram. So then you'll be able to really experience this greatness of my body, my whole, all the beings which is within me. Now, let me give you this vision by which you'll be able to see the whole thing. So that he says, and that's where we stopped last time. So now the scene basically, so you see Krishna is telling all this to Arjuna. We still haven't come to Arjuna's emotions, all that is coming up. But then let's not forget that Sanjaya, whom we were introduced all the way in the first chapter, okay? So now he shows up again here. And you see the scene is now shifted to Hastinapura. Okay, Hastinapura, where it is the palace of Dhritarashtra. So you will see for the next 6 verses, Sanjaya now reports to the king as to what is happening in the battlefield. Okay, because Sanjaya was able to also get that vision. He was the only other person who was able to vision. And he was granted a boon to know that everything that takes place in the battlefield and also in the minds of the warriors. And that is how in the first chapter, he was able to tell us what emotions, Duryodhana was going through and everything. So Sanjay uses this opportunity actually to see if he can still convince Dhritarashtra about what is happening and see if he can stop the war itself. So in this 6 shlokas, you see that Sanjay replays the Vishwarupa Darshanam for Dhritarashtra. He describes the Vishwarupa, and there's some beautiful descriptions that is coming up. And again, showing that the whole universe is in the Lord's body. And then slowly we'll come to Arjuna's account, So in Shloka 9, you will see that the shift happening. And in one of the commentaries on Gita, which is Sant Jnaneshwar's commentary, I don't know how many of you have read some of these commentaries of Sant Jnaneshwar. In that, Sant Jnaneshwar explains about how it is Arjuna was so lucky, of being able to view this cosmic form. And he lists, even Lakshmi Devi, and even the snake, and the snake bed on whom Lord Narayana was residing, and even Garuda, who is the instrument, who is the vehicle for this one. Even they were not able to see that vision of Narayana, the greatness of Narayana. But here we have Arjuna who got it just like that. So we'll chant the shloka. Sanjaya Uvacha, Sanjaya Uvacha, Evamuktva Tatho Rajan, Evamuktva Tatho Rajan, Mahayogeshwara Harihi, Mahayogeshwara Harihi, Darshayamasa Parthaya, Darshayamasa Parthaya, Param Rupam Aishwaram, Param Rupam Aishwaram. So here, Evam, thus, having spoken, Sanjay is explaining here. So Sanjay is saying, having explained here, and O King Rajan, this great Yogeshwara, that is referring to Krishna, and Harihi, again, another word referring to Krishna, Darshaya Masa. Darsha means to, the sight, right? So Darshaya Masa showed to Parthaya, to Partha, that supreme form of Ishvara, Paramam Rupam Aishwaram. So he says this. So the king of Hastinapur now, is receiving this report from Sanjaya, and it must be, if you think about what Dhritarashtra must be going through, right? It must be really painful for him to listen to so much of praise of Arjuna and to see the praise of how Arjuna is so lucky to get this kind of, darshan, whereas none of his sons have been able to get this. So again, this is Sanjay's way to tell him that even now it is not too late. We can still stop the war. And, so let's look into some of these beautiful words which are given in this here, Harihi, and, a few other words which are coming. So Harihi is, of course, referring to Lord Vishnu, right? So Harihi Eva Mukta. And it is to indicate also that Krishna is none other than that Lord Vishnu. So that is why Harihi Evam Uktva. So he calls him this one. Now, I just, here and there, sometimes I'll introduce a few of these concepts that we studied, in Sandeepani, so that it will add a little more meaning to this. So what is Harihi? Harihi is really means to remove, to suck out all, or to withdraw all the papams from the devotee's mind. Okay? And we all are actually divine, but we do not know it because we have so much of our own impurities or perceptions through which we lead the world, right? So I'm not able to see the divinity in front of me. I'm not able to see this Vishwarupa. And that is the part that I have to remove all this Timiram, Ajnana Timirandasya. In Guru Stotram we have, right? Ajnana Timirandasya. So all this, and of course in Tamil, Timiram means pride, coming out of ego, right? So it is, we think we are this ego, and this ego brings a lot of pride in us, and because of the pride, we are unable to accept a lot of things too. So here Harihi means referring to that Lord who is able to remove all this. Harihi harati papani dushta chittair abhismritaha anichayat samsprishtaha dahat eva hi pavakaha. So that is one definition of Harihi. Harihi means that person who removes all the papam out. And this other word, Mahayogeshwara. So Sanjaya, earlier and all, we have seen Krishna being referred to as Yogeshwara, but here he's called Mahayogeshwara. Why Mahayogeshwara? Because he has the greatest powers of purification. So normally, when we think about purification, it's a pretty long process, but which requires so much amount of action, karma yoga, and it requires this. But here we're talking about Mahayogeshwara, somebody who is, so here, of course, Mahayogeshwara Harihi, he's addressing, in that way to say that, actually, I'm just thinking he's referring Mahayogeshwara to refer to Arjuna, I think. One second, I need to look at this from here. Confirm. The great Lord of Yoga. The great Lord of Yoga. No, this is referring to Krishna. Shotupatha, his supreme form, as the Lord of the universe. Yeah. And then Paramam Aishwaram Rupam Darshayamasa. So Krishna is, showing that great form, Aishwaram, which again, when I mentioned about the, how he has all the 6 bhagas, so that is the highest form. And he's saying, this form is right in front of Arjuna. He's standing here. And here I wanted to bring in this ritual that we have is Sandhya Vandanam, In Sandhya Vandanam, basically, the person does namaskaram to all the 4 directions. East, namaskaram to the east, namaskaram to the west, namaskaram to the north, namaskaram to the south, namaskaram to the top, namaskaram to the bottom. Why are we doing that? Because again, God is everywhere. Ishvara is everywhere. And this is again the greatest beauty of our religion, We do not focus that Lord only in one idol or one form, but the Lord is everywhere. And again, referring to, the greatness of Krishna here, Mahayogeshwara, Sandhya Vandanam, in Sandhya Vandanam, we see this aspect of how the Lord is everywhere, and that is shown in all the rituals also. Okay. So now you see in shlokas, 8, in the 9th shloka, he's already starting to explain this, the great Lord of Yoga, Sri Hari. Okay, yeah. So there are 2 definitions here, 2 names he's giving to Krishna here, Mahayogeshwara and Harihi. And he showed this one is Param Rupam Aishwaram. So this is how he is introducing that thing to Sanjay is introducing it to Dhritarashtra. Okay, so then in shlokas 10 and 11, he starts to slowly, just like how a painter, painter first just scratches all these, sketches all these broad lines, which is what he did in the previous shloka. Now in 10 and 11, he starts to go a little more deeper. He starts to put some colors. He brings a 3D effect, all this to create this huge grand painting that, Krishna is now trying to see how he can bring it to Arjuna. And so here he will bring in so many different qualities, it's just to bring that absolute greatness of that Ishvara, of that Narayana. So let's chant those 2 shlokas, 10 and 11. Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Aneka Vaktra Nayanam, Anekadbhuta Darshanam, Anekadbhuta Darshanam, Aneka divya bharanam. Aneka divya abharanam. Divya aneka दिव्यानेकोद्यतायुधम् दिव्यानेकोद्यतायुधम् अनेकवक्त्रनयनम् अनेकाद्भुतदर्शनम् अनेकदिव्याभरणम् दिव्यानेकोद्यतायुधम्. My eyes are going between the Sanskrit and the English. So then it changes the meter, it changes even the meaning. But when you say Aneka Divya Bharanam, already that Abharanam is there in it. So you see here in the shloka, and maybe we'll chant the next one also. Divyamanyam Bharadaram. Divyamanyam Bharadharam. Divyagandhanulepanam. Divyagandhanulepanam. Sarvashcharyamayam Devam. Sarvashcharyamayam Devam. Anantam Vishvato Mukham. Anantam Vishvato Mukham. So, Aneka Vaktra Nayanam. We'll just look at the word meaning here, and then we will go into a little more deeper into each one of the meanings here. So, Aneka means many. Vaktra, the faces. Nayanam, eyes. Then Adbhuta Darshanam. Adbhutam we say, right? So Adbhutam, so the numerous wonderful sights. And then Aneka Divya Abharanam. Abharanam means ornaments. So who's adorned with all these great ornaments, divine, Divya ornaments. Okay. Divya Aneka Udhyata Ayudam. So somebody who is also having the weapons. So that's what in the 10th shloka. Then in the 11th shloka, he's saying Divya Manyam Paradaram. That Ishvara who is wearing this divine alaya garments and ambara clothes, and dharam means wearing. Then Divya Gandhanu Lepanam. Somebody who's been anointed with wonderful perfumes and everything. Sarvashcharyam Ayam Devam. So, Sarvashcharyam, all these things is on that infinite, all wonderful and resplendent, boundless with faces, Vishvato Mukham, with faces on all sides. So, again, explanation of that Vishvarupa of Bhagwan, So, Sanjay is like so inspired. He feels he has to explain everything, the whole form of Ishvara in all these, in this beautiful descriptions here. And then in shloka number 12, he goes on to say something which is, to describe something that is even beyond comparison. So earlier, it was all with regard to the form, the garlands, the clothes, then describing even the person, all that. But in shloka number 12, he says, Divi Surya Sahasrasya, Divi Surya Sahasrasya, Bhaved Yuga Paduttitha. Bhavet Yuga Paduttitha. Yati Bha Sadrishi Sa Syat. Yati Bha Sadrishi Sa Syat. Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha. Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha. Divi Surya Sahasrasya. Bhavet Yuga Paduttitha. Yadi Bha Sadrishi Sa Syat. Bhasastasya Mahatmanaha. So he says, Divi Surya Sahasrasya. Surya referring to the sun. If in the sun, 1,000 suns, Sahasra, Okay, if in the sky 1,000 suns were to blaze forth, Bhavet Yugapat Uttita, all at once they were supposed to, if they start to blaze, Yadi Bha Sadrishi Sasya, that brilliance would be like the splendor of that Bhagavan. Bhasaha Tasya Mahatmanaha. So again, so this is why I separated from the other two to this one, because in the previous two was all about the description, but here he's bringing something which is so incomparable. Sanjay is really, really working so hard to bring that glory to King Dhritarashtra. Mind you, King Dhritarashtra is a blind king. Okay. So for a blind king, if he has to really bring closest to him, he can only do it by the use of words and descriptions, you know. But guess what? Dhritarashtra is in his own world, right? I don't think really anything that Sanjay said had any kind of impact on him. So Sanjay is hoping that, well, maybe at least that will have an impact on all of us, you know. So this is this is the greatness of how he's going with. So Aneka Vaktra Nayanam basically means many mouths, many eyes. But how are we to really understand this? What do we mean by this? Does it mean really that, it's like I still remember when we were in Balavihar, I would give this Play-Doh to the kids and ask them to come up with shapes, and sometimes they would put noses all over on the one ball of Play-Doh. So that's not what we're talking about here. It's not that eyes are sticking all over and mouths are all over. And, so it's not like that. It basically, Sanjaya is trying to portray what Arjuna is seeing, that Arjuna, he's able to see all the people, you know, um, so that is the whole idea of what he's saying here. And then Aneka Adbhuta Darshanam. We're all used to the 7 wonders of the world, right? And of late, I think in India, whenever I go to Facebook, what I see is, there is some of these websites called Vedic Heritage and Hindu Heritage, I think. Amazing. They really package things so well to show how there are much bigger wonders in India, like especially, I think I've already talked about Brideshwara before, but the Padmanabha Swami temple, or this, I went to Gujarat in December, the Sun temple, Modera temple. How did in the ancient times they build all these wonders where when the sun shines, the sunlight goes and falls directly on the idol, and even in the Padmanabha Swami temple, on each one of the layers, based upon the different months, I think it will go into one of those center area holes, which is there in each of the levels. So all this has been already, so we knew enough of astronomy, astrology, and build such huge structures, keeping in mind the whole rotation of the moon and the sun and everything. How did that? So that kind of wonders existed here, Then Aneka Divya Abharanam. So Abharanam means, of course, jewels here. And so again, trying to bring, the greatness of the Lord, showing, how divine that sight must have been. And then wielding many, I think this is a spelling mistake here, sorry about it, wielding many divine weapons. Divya Aneka Aneka Udhyata Ayudam. So here again, let's not think that, that there's so many only weapons there or something. But here, let's look at this divine weapons as something which is the Lord is holding in order to protect dharma, So that is the whole idea, which is, so Bhagavan is in the form of really the creation of order in the creation. So what is that order? It is actually harmony, and in order to protect that harmony, those weapons are there, and that is what he's trying to show here. And then Divya Malyam Bharadaram, going to the 10th shloka, he wears all this wonderful garlands and garments. And again, this is to show the greatness, by personifying a human being, is how we are so used to our eyes and everything is used to really seeing the form, and therefore he's bringing all these great qualities, anointed with divine perfumes, Divya Gandhanu Lepanam. So smeared with, must be Chandanam and so many different natural perfumes here. So Sarvashcharyamayam. So, he had already said Vishvato Mukham, right? Vishvato Mukham, the Lord with faces in all directions, omnidirectional, multi-faced. So, and then Anantam, those are the other two words in that shloka number 10. And Sarvashcharyamayam. So, Anantam, whose limit, you cannot even imagine. So, therefore, he says Sarvashcharyamayam. So, Vishwarupa Ishvara is really the greatest of all wonders. And that is the one part of it which Sanjay is bringing in those shlokas number 9 and 10. And then in this 11 is where he's wanting to make sure, okay, if so much we have not understood, let me bring the highest comparison. And therefore, he's comparing him to a sun, but not just one sun, but 1,000 suns. That is the brilliance, for us, when, the sun has risen here, and even to see the sun by a single sun is very difficult for us. So imagine 1,000 suns, what brilliance it must be, So he says, this is the last slide here for me. Even if 1,000 suns were to rise up at the same time, Yugapat, in the sky, Bhavet Uttita, were to rise, that will be maybe comparable to the brilliance of that great Lord. So this is how Sanjaya is describing in all these shlokas up to 13 about the whole, the greatness of the Lord itself. So I'll stop here because the next 2-3 shlokas, they go together. So we have 10, 9, we did 4 shlokas today. Any thoughts about so far? Anything to share?
Can we go to 10 and 11, the description of,
The shlokas you want?
yeah, just the meaning over here with numerous mouths and eyes. As he's describing, if we had that, clear mind, this would be such a beautiful experience that, we can just go, we can become leaner in this description in itself, with numerous mouths and eyes, with numerous wonderful sight, with numerous divine ornaments. I mean, the sight would have been something that would have been, words cannot express the what Sanjaya
Would
must
have
have
been.
seen, what Arjuna must have seen.
Correct.
It is just
And
divine.
it's so interesting that, because Sanjaya is such a Mahatma, he's able to visualize it and also explain it. Of course, Arjuna is going to come in his own way and explain it later, and we will be doing this comparison of how Sanjaya is explaining these words versus Arjuna. You will see Arjuna's will be more emotional, more,
Yes.
and we'll come to that awe-inspiring way in which he has
Yes.
explained later.
But over here, Sanjaya, the way this is from what Swami Ramakrishnananda's lecture, that Sanjaya and Vidura, they are always trying to make Dhritarashtra. They want the war to be called off. They want him to end this war. They want there to be peace. So they're always trying to pressure him into seeing the truth. So over here, as he's describing, it is to show that this is Hari, this is the Lord. He's on Arjuna's side. Wake up, look at this, the numerous mouths. This is all the way, his way of saying, scaring Dhritarashtra into saying that, wake up, stop this war, stop this. It's, I mean, that Swamiji's lecture also was kind of coming into mind when when you were explaining all this, that how much Vidura and Sanjaya might have the effort they put in to make sure that the war, I mean, for Dhritarashtra to call off that war. Over here, he's still making an effort. It's
Yeah.
that is my that was my it was like I was just lost in your explanation and Swamiji's explanation, that I was lost in that how much effort they put in and the beauty of the Lord.
Right. Anand, you
One
want
more
Hari
thing.
Om.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Anant.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Geeta.
No, I was about to say Sanjaya is also lucky enough to see the Lord as much as Arjuna.
Of course, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had two jobs. One is, of course, I mean, or two things going on. One is he was experiencing this great wonder, but he also had to explain it to Dhritarashtra and try to convince him. Yeah.
Right.
Anand?
Yeah. Hari Om. Yeah. Usually when we talk of Bhagavan, the characteristics, many texts, they say there is no way to describe him. There is no way to, see him. So like it's like unthinkable, unimaginable, all the superlatives. So here, in the Visvarupa Darsana, uh, it's still the same situation, but again, at least Sanjaya is trying to put some words, whatever possible, something like a, thousand suns, So yeah, when we think about even like think of one sun is enough for us. I mean, like as it gets to like mid morning or like at the noon, there's no way anyone can see the sun. So just thinking the way it's describing, Divi Surya Sahasras, yeah, and then uh, so all the forms. So that's it's trying some effort so that for us to understand a form of Bhagavan, and then always gives a message. Yes, see the Visvarupa in the Viswa, like see in the world, see in the universe. So that's my thoughts.
Yeah, no, very good. Yeah. So I think 11th chapter is meditative in its own way, where we are going to, describe Bhagavan all the time. And this is also necessary for us because as we go through our daily routine, where do we think of Bhagavan, right? We only think about the problems we're going through, and we don't see Bhagwan in each one of them and think that, the minute I look Bhagwan in everything, there won't be any problem. But I don't see it that way. So this 11th chapter is very meditative in that regard, I feel, that even chanting some of these shlokas constantly, Aishwaram, even the words, each one is really bringing to mind the greatness of the Lord. Ganeshi. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Hari
you.
Om.
Thank you, Hari.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari
Hari
Om.
Om. Thank you,
so
Sunitha
much.
Call
ji.
you on WhatsApp, maybe? I'll call you on WhatsApp.
Hari Om, thank you so much.
Hari Om. Thank you so much.
I think you have to switch off the
Video. Video.
live stream.